Hello and welcome to Big Talk live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Edek Michael. A pleasure to have you join us tonight. We'll turn attention to People's Democratic Party. It looks at the matters within the People's Democratic Party or the crises. The Board of Trustees are making a lot of effort in resolving them because just recently they have also met to affirm the former national youth leader, Sunday Ude as the party's substantive national secretary, throwing its weight behind what earlier the PDP governors amid the party's lingering leadership crisis are taking. And now the BOT chairman and the former Senate President Adolphus Wabara made the announcement at the 80th meeting of the Board of Trustees here in Abuja following months of internal wrangling over the position. The Board of Trustees, after reviewing all the submissions and relevant court judgment, recognizes Honorable Sunday Ude as the substantive National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party in full compliance with the declaratory judgment of Enugu High Court upheld by the Courts of Appeal. However, stated now the PDP has been in an embroil in a leadership crisis that has escalated about the fallout from the 2023 general election, in which has been a lot of battle over the national secretary recently. The position has increased a lot of issues and crisis and division within the party, even when some Southeast members and stakeholders had nominated Ude to replace Senator Samuel Anyanwu. Anyanwu is still insisting that he remains the national secretary even after this judgment of the Court of Appeals ruling affirming Ude as Anyanwu's loyalists are still resisting the decision, leading to the tensions within the party. You can recall that matters escalated on January 28th when Anyanwu's supporters disrupted the Board of Trustees meeting, forcibly ejecting Ude before the security personnel that restored the order within the party national secretariat. That was really a condemnable action. But the Board of Trustees met not at the national secretariat this time, but away from the national secretariat. They have also blamed that if we had met at the national secretariat, probably there would have been instances of crisis within the party that a Board of Trustees had to resolve, again, backing the decision of the state governors of the People's Democratic Party who had resolved that Okoye should be the national secretary. But Samuel Anyanwu is still kicking. But tonight, we'll be looking at that. How effective is the Board of Trustees first in the People's Democratic Party, and not just in People's Democratic Party, every other political party in Nigeria? How effective is the Board of Trustees? The Governors Forum have spoken, the Board of Trustees have spoken. If Anyanwu is still insisting that he is the National Secretary, at which party is he leading from? Is he still having some case? That Dozama said the matter is still in court. Does it still look that he still has a case in the court even after the decision of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party? Joining us tonight is David Otokpa, who is joining us tonight to extract this development, a member of the People's Democratic Party, who of course has been really involved in following this matter, and to give us some sense of feelings about first the matters within the party and the recent move by the Governors Forum and now the Board of Trustees. Thanks so much, David, for joining us on the show tonight. It looks that the crisis has been, well, those are said, the Board of Trustees are trying to manage the crisis of the party, but the crisis has escalated to this time, and now not just the issue of the chairmanship of the party, it went straight to the national secretary. Anyanwu is insisting that he remains the secretary. Do you feel that he still has a case?
Michael, thank you very much for having me once again after the New Year's Day program. I'm grateful to be on the program. Thank you, and good evening, fellow Nigerians. Well, as we all know, the party has been engulfed in some kind, from one crisis to the other in recent time. One of which we are dealing with currently is the issue of the national secretary of the party. And as we all know, the judgment by the appellate court sitting in Enugu has declared that Right Honorable SK Ude Okoye is the substantive national secretary of the People's Democratic Party, and he has a right to operate in that capacity. As to whether the former national secretary, I speak to the president of Senator Samuel Ayaw Nemekayaw, whether he has a case in court or not, is a matter of a personal conviction. Anybody can choose to have a case, but as far as this matter is concerned, the appeal court has ruled in favor of Right Honorable S.K. Ude Okoye. And what are the grounds of this judgment? You see, the appeal court said, look, the day that Senator Ayaw, the former national secretary of the party, decided that he wants to vie for the governorship position of Imo State, that he ceases to be the national secretary of the party. And why is that so? It is made manifest because he holds the signature. He's signatory to all other valid documents that goes to INEC as to who is validly elected, so to speak. And then the appeal court rules that look, you cannot be a judge in your own case. You cannot organize a football competition and then you decide that you are the referee. These things are not done. Apart from the fact that it's against every moral ground, it is also against the laws of the party. And then, like people will say, you decide to chase any case you have in the court of laws. He went to court, and then also, Right Honorable, the Southeast Caucus of the party, speaking to the neck of the party in that region, decided and said, look, the position as far as constitution is concerned, the position of the national secretary is empty, and they came together, still acting on the provision of section 46 or thereabout. That look, this portion of the constitution speaks to how succession of the party should be. And then they decided unanimously that look, Right Honorable S.K. Ude Okoye should be appointed the national secretary because that seat has become vacuum. Since Sam Dadi, I speak to the former national secretary now, Ayaw, has gone to vie for the position of the Imo State governorship election. So they appointed Ude Okoye to oversee that position substantively, not in active capacity. And then he also went to court, got a judgment. Ude Okoye also got a judgment. And then, in his own wisdom, I'm talking about the former national secretary, decided to pursue his own case to the appeal court to say, look, whatever judgment that Ude Okoye has gotten from the high court, federal high court, should be set aside. But the court, in its own wisdom, said, you cannot be a judge in your own case. And then they dismissed his appeal and uphold the judgment of the lower court that Right Honorable S.K. Ude Okoye is the substantive national secretary of the People's Party, or People's Democratic Party. And it is upon that judgment that the NWC acknowledged him, that's Right Honorable Ude Okoye, as the national secretary of the party. And then, since then, it has been from one crisis to the other. It has been alleged. In fact, at some point, I was in Wadata Plaza, I was in the national headquarters, I had to run for my life. When talks who were allegedly loyal to the former national secretary ambushed Right Honorable S.K. Ude Okoye and tried to attack him right in the presence of party leaders of the BOT. You see, such desperation only amounts to one thing: the fact that it is about self and not the party. And this is where, again, the question of morality comes in. So, on this note, still relying on the judgment of the appeal court, the Governors Forum, which is the most influential pressure group of the party, you cannot rule out the Governors Forum from the party. And I can assure you, again, that without the Governors Forum, it is like the political party is actually incomplete. And then they said that they held a meeting last week in Asaba, and in their own wisdom, of course, still relying on the judgment of the appeal court and said, look, we must follow the rulings of the appeal court. This party has been known to be a law-abiding party, and then they decided to throw their weight behind Right Honorable S.K. Ude Okoye. As if that was not enough, after the BOT meeting, as chaired by the BOT chairman, I speak to the former president of the Senate, Senator Adolphus Wabara, sets a committee to be chaired by the former Minister of Special Duties. I speak to the president of Tanini Turaki, SAN, and then he also requested that the both parties to submit the judgment of the appeal court, the judgment they both respectively have, so that they can look into it and then decide on the matter. And after that, it was concluded And of course, I'm sure that Nigerians have seen the report of the Tanimu Turaki committee that they decided to uphold the judgment of the appeal court and say, look, Right Honorable SK Inde Okoye is the rightful occupant of the seat of the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. So where is all this Ulabalu coming from? If not from mischief makers and people that have deliberately sworn to hold down the People's Democratic Party, so as not to be able to challenge for the presidency in 2027. So this person in question, I'm talking about Samuel Aya, who has also gone to apply for a stay of execution, which he has not even gotten. A few days ago, I saw some documents flying all over social media that he has also applied to the Supreme Court for a stay of execution. In the meantime, whether he has a case or not, he should allow the party to function. So let him pursue his case elsewhere while he allows the party to function.
So if the court,
I'm sure we cannot agree. I'm sure we cannot agree that nature has instructed
him to remain in the position till the Supreme Court decision. Then to think that the backing of the Governors Forum and the BOT will deepen the party crisis.
No, I do not think so. As a matter of fact, I would like to commend the Governors Forum as chaired by the Governor of Bauchi State, and also commend the Senator Adolfo Zwambara-led BOT for swiftly taking this matter to nip it in the bud. If not, the party would have further divided and sink into more crisis. Because as we speak, if you look at the judgment of the appeal court, mind you, it was Senator Anyanwu that went to court. He was the one that went to challenge the judgment of the lower court that upheld that Senator Right Honorable SK Inde Okoye should be the rightful occupant of that position, of that seat. So he went to challenge that judgment in the appeal court, and then the appeal court set aside his case and said, no, look, you cannot be a judge in your own case. So this is what happened. So as we speak, the judgment clearly stated that everything that Anyanwu has appended his signature upon becomes a nullity. So you can see what is playing out. Nigerians can actually see what is playing out. That the whole idea is to make sure that they strangulate the People's Democratic Party ahead of 2027. There is nothing other than that. And I am telling you that as party loyalists, as party faithfuls, we will pursue this matter to the very end.
All right. Let me take your attention, because there are those that are having a concern about the division of the party. They have divided your party probably if 3 comes, or if I'm right to say 3 comes or 2 comes. Some people said Atiku camp, Wike's camp. They're having a concern that it looks that the crisis the party is having, and even the issues that have divided the National Working Committee, some of the national executive members of the party, is because of the division within your party. Do you feel that the disciplinary committee that we have within your party, since they were inaugurated, have lived to expectation in resolving some of these crises? Because if Anyanwu is insisting that he remains the national secretary and still having the backing of some members of the party, it looks that it might look a very big problem ahead of the People's Democratic Party.
Mike, I understand clearly where you are coming from, but let me say this, that in every gathering or any forum or any association, there are people that tend to lean towards certain individuals. But like I've said on every forum, and of course even on this your program, I have said it before, that look, the People's Democratic Party was not Christian People's Democratic Party for nothing. It is for a reason. And then as such, the party is bigger than any single individual, be it Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, be it Nyesom Wike, be it anybody, name them. Do you understand? The party is clearly bigger. The party belongs to everyday Nigerians, inclusive of course, any Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and any other person. So having said this, having established this fact, the truth is this: in a political party, there are bound to be contestations, and these contestations is as a result of ambition, and everybody is free to pursue this ambition within the ambit of the laws and principles that guides that political party. Where an individual is seen to have gone outside the constitutions and principles that guide this party, that is where the problem emanates from. Now, the actions of the BOT or the governors forum has not in any way divided the party. I want everybody to understand this, because if the BOT or the governors forum or every other arm of the party, every other organs of the party have decided to stay aloof, that is where it's going to be a free fight for all, and that is where a problem is going to arise. Yes, if you talk about the NWC, the NWC have actually taken a position. I think about 14 members out of 18 have taken a position that they are going and standing by the judgment of the appeal court. I do not see any crisis there. Now, on the issue of people or party net members backing Sam Anyanwu and all that, of course, everybody is free to take a side. Even Jesus Christ had people that supported him and people that despise him. Even Satan have people that follows him up and down and worship him and what have you. So these things are really not issues as far as I'm concerned. But what we must do as a party, it is what the party's BOT and the governors forum and of course the NWC have actually done, to stand on the path of truth and follow the judgment of the appeal court.
All right, David. I made my question because I was getting somewhere. This is almost 2 years after the 2023 election. The former National Public Secretary, Kola, is saying that the party may face a worse crisis if it fails to address the issues that contributed to its failure in the 2023 election. And I'm not having a concern. Does it look that, what is the problem to resolving all of the crises almost 2 years after 2023 election? Some persons are still having some grievances within the party. Does it look that the party crisis cannot be resolved? Does it also look that some persons need to be taken away from the party for the matters to be resolved? Or does it also look that the party will all be in crisis as long as we can count towards the 2027 election?
I am one of those that have called former National Public Secretary of the party a political prophet in recent time, because everything he has said and everything he has prophesied and warned about has come to pass. So I would like to call him or refer to him as a political prophet. Having said that, the words of the former National Public Secretary of the party, I speak to Bukola Ologbondio, his words are 100% correct. If we do not go back to address certain issues, the party might face even worse problems than we already had pre-2023 general elections. And what are these issues? And part of these issues is what Samuel Anyanwu is actually doing at the moment, throwing a path of destruction. You can remember vividly, before the issue of the G5, part of the conditions they laid on ground for them to work for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was for the former national chairman, Senator Nyocha Ayu, to step aside and pave way for a southern chairman. But I don't know, maybe in his own wisdom, he decided that, look, I am not going to give way. I'm not going to hit to white council. And then at the end of the day, he gave back to what? The G5. That eventually worked against the interest of the party and the interest of Nigerians at large. And now this same thing is playing out. The former national secretary of the party, I'm talking about Senator Anyanwu, has refused to hit to Vice Council and leave the office of the national secretary of the party. Because as it stands, if he continues in this manner, at the end of the day, I am telling you, being a student of political history and someone that have invested so much of his life in the People's Democratic Party, we have seen it happen in Zamfara. There are precedents. At the end of the day, the PDP might not have a candidate across board. And that is the end plan. That is the end game of this whole division and crisis you are seeing. I am telling you from a well-informed position that the end game of this whole crisis here and there is for the People's Democratic Party to not be able to field a credible candidate or a strong candidate that will challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. And there is nothing more to that. So any other person that you see sitting on the side of these other people that do not want to obey court judgment is technically trying to make sure that look, they suppress the party down. So everything Kola Olobode have said is spot on, 100% spot on. We must begin to face the issues of this party and weed out the people causing problems in this party. And it is on that note that the Tom Ikimi Disciplinary Committee, was constituted. Yes, I know they will say that better late than never. It is true. At least today, at daybreak, we saw communiques and statements flying up and down that the Tom Ikimi-led committee has invited some very high-ranking members of the party, people like the former governor of Benue State, Otom, and then including the former national secretary of the party, which is Anyanwu. They have invited them to come and face the disciplinary committee on issues bordering on anti-party, causing problems, and inviting talks to the party to attack party leaders and party members. So I like to say that the committee, the Tom Ikimi committee, has actually, woken from their slumber to face these issues headlong. And until discipline, like I've always said, discipline is one of the issues we have in the party. When anybody is seen to have contravened the laws and the provisions of the People's Democratic Party, they should be dealt with as provided within the ambit of the constitutions of the People's Democratic Party. I mean, these things are not rocket science.
All right. I mean, let's take attention to issues of the national chairman, those that are having a concern. The governors met, and of course, they have also scheduled for the NWC, the NEC to meet. And this has also created a lot of concern about what may be the resolution in respect to the chairmanship of your party. Some are arguing that the party ought to have zoned the position to the North Central and all of that, negotiation or deepening conversation. What to you may be the position if this meeting is held?
If we must stay on the path of truth, on the path of justice, and on the path of what is equitable, what is right to do is to allow the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Ambassador Ilias Udamagu, to revert back to this position, his original position that he was elected to, which is Deputy National Chairman North, and allow the people of North Central to complete their tenure. These things are not cast in stones. This is as simple as ABC. It is there in our constitution that the North Central, the zone with which a national chairman or a national officer, emanates from, that same area or zone, it didn't say region, it said zone, area, should produce a successor. So until this is done, it is more like a recipe for more chaos in the party. So Ambassador Umar Damagu, whether he likes it or not, and then as a Muslim that he is, I want him to sit down and look at the mirror and search himself in the conscience, and look himself in the mirror and search his conscience. What I am doing, is it really, really, really in accordance to the provisions of God? As a Muslim, he ought to tell himself the truth. You are sitting on the right of the people of the North Central. For God's sake, you were brought in on the provisions of the law that you should act in acting position. You should step in an acting position until the zonal executive committee of the North Central are able to provide a successor. And
what is the duration? What is the duration of the chairmanship of your party?
It's supposed to be 90 days. Are you talking about acting capacity or
the full tenure that the former chairman had? That was elected.
It's 4 years. It's a 4 years tenure. It's a 4 years tenure. At convention,
do you not feel that if the meeting is held?
But I'm coming.
All right, go ahead.
At convention, party officials are elected for 4 years. Mind you, the same provision also mandated, also empowers the NEC, the National Executive Council, to also take decisions on behalf of the convention. Since the convention is the highest decision-making body of the party, next to it is the NEC, the National Executive Council. So the NEC possesses every power to ask Damagu to go back to his rightful position, which he was elected to, which is Deputy National Chairman, not, and then allow for North Central to complete their tenure. This is as simple as ABC. It only takes greed and whatever. I don't even know, I cannot even express why somebody would want to sit on the right of a whole zone, a whole region, the North Central. I mean, these are the issues. These are the issues. So he must revert back to his original position and allow for the North Central to produce a successor to Dr. Iyorchia Ayu.
So if the convention is held, I mean, whatever the meeting or the conventions will be held, if the convention is held, I mean, after the meeting where the parties will meet at that bigger NEC meeting, what do you think may be the decision? Does it look that the North Central will be allowed to produce the chairman, or does it mean that we have to wait for the next convention? And if convention is held, does it still open, I mean, the chairmanship position still open for the North Central?
Let me quickly tell you something, Mike. As we speak, there is no organ of the party, be it the caucus, be it the NEC, be it the Governors Forum, be it the BOT. In fact, even the NWC that do not know that the right thing to do is for Damagum to revert back to his position and allow for North Central to complete his tenure. So the issue of any other thing is going to come out of that meeting is a no-go area, is a no-brainer. Because the outcome of that meeting, as I speak to you, go and write them down, except we are trying to be mischievous and to totally, completely hold down this party. Every right-thinking leader of this party will ask Damagum to revert back to his position and allow for North Central to complete their tenure. Until this is done, every other thing we are doing is just playing the ostrich and play to the gallery. That is it. So we are not even expecting anything other than this. We are not expecting anything. There is only one decision, there is only one resolution, and there is only one solution to all this political hullabaloo in the party. It is to allow for Damagum to go back, to revert back to his deputy national chairman position, and allow for North Central to produce a candidate that will complete their tenure. Whether or not convention is still going to zone the national chairmanship position to North Central at the next convention, I do not know about that. It is left for the leaders to sit down and decide that. But what is obtainable now is for Damagum to revert back to his position as the deputy national chairman, and allow North Central to complete their tenure.
All right. I mean, those that are really having a concern about what the G5 had stood for, I mean, prior to the election of 2023, they were saying they are standing on the part of justice. If the party had to revisit what the G5 had stood for, was it justifiable for what led to, deepening the crisis of the party? Because even the former governor of Benue State, also, was fingered, to play against the party at the election.
Mike, we've had this conversation not once, I think twice or thereabouts. Away from programs, national programs as this, we've actually had this conversation elsewhere. And I will tell you this for a fact, that there are certain issues that played out prior to the 2003 primary election. And let me tell you, the PDP, as it were then, did not unilaterally hand over the presidential tickets to the north or to the northeast. There were committees that were set up. And the first committee that was set up by the Uche Sekodun's-led National Working Committee was chaired by the governor of Bauchi State, Senator Bala. And the report of that committee says that, look, if we must zone this party ticket, the presidential ticket, it must be zoned to the two zones that have not been precedents in Nigeria. And these zones are what? The southeast and the northeast. Southeast where Peter Obi comes from, and northeast where Atiku comes from. But I can also tell you that certain individuals of the party who believe they are bigger than the party, who believe they own the party in their pocket, they schemed against this report. And then it led to another committee that was set up and was chaired by this same, former governor of Benue State. He chaired that committee, the second committee, that said, look, instead of zoning, it should be thrown open. Because they believed, At that moment, they believe they've had everything in their pockets. They've schemed, and they, in fact, they assumed the role of God. And then it was on that, in fact, everybody that voted on that committee voted for the presidential ticket to the throne open. Everybody who is fit and capable, that have satisfied the provisions of the law, should come and contest for the election. And what happened? Those who played God, they ended up, showing to the whole world that, look, we are not God. And God humbled them. That was what happened. So the issue of justice, equity, it has nothing to do with this. It was simply a case of people scheming, and then they schemed themselves out of the situation. And then at the end of the day, they started screaming and shouting, South agenda, South agenda. Yes, the only place I feel they have a case was for, okay, if the presidential candidate is from the north, and then the national chairman is also from the north, and they think it is morally right for the national chairman to step aside from the north to allow for a southern candidate to become the chairman of the party. On that level, on that note, I think they have an argument. But their argument was solely not, based on that. It was based on the fact that, look, the party shouldn't have the party shouldn't have produced a northern candidate. And then if we have to look at things, if we have to look at precedents, if we have to look at the Nigerian presidency since 1999, since the return of democracy in 1999, you would agree with me that the North are even shortchanged in the scheme of things. Obasanjo, a southern Nigerian, had 8 years, two tenure of 8 years. Umaru Yar'Adua, of blessed memories, had just 2 years. And then we have Jonathan from the southern bloc. He had 6 years. And then Muhammadu Buhari came, and he had 8 years. And then if you look at this, you will see that the North still haven't even completed their tenure. So for those that really want to start arguing here and there, a lot of things transpired within the party, and we know these things. But for people to start organizing media shows every day, singing songs, you call band to come and play songs for you and say you are fighting for the South, Mike, they were fighting for themselves and not fighting for the South.
All right, David.
And this was what played out.
All right. Just before I let you go, this is almost 2 years to election. Do you feel that the People's Democratic Party still have a future in the country? Because you also read a statement from Senator Nenwoko, who defected from your party, officially at the floor of the National Assembly, stated that the party and the party crisis may not lead the party's future into a better time. Are you worried with all of the crises making your party unpopular daily and members of the National Assembly also defecting? Your party still have a chance in the country?
There is no right-thinking party faithful, no loyal party man that will not be worried about the issues within the party, the cracks within the party. But as I speak to you, the People's Democratic Party is deeply rooted into the hearts of Nigerians, the everyday Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians, our women in the creek, our boys and girls down in Otukpo, and even in Kebbi, in Zamfara, everywhere. The PDP, as it is today, it is the only party that has the structure, that has the capacity, that have the history to take Nigeria out of the woods and rescue Nigeria from the maladministration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's APC. As I speak to you, Nigerians have lived the best of their lives during the yesteryears of PDP. Can you compare the days of the PDP to the cankerworms we have under the APC now? The answer is no. So yes, it is true. We are worried and we are bothered by these cracks and divisions within the party. But again, it is a family affair. Aside being a family affair, we know those that have been planted in the party, just like the former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, said, that it seems mercenaries have been planted in the People's Democratic Party to kill the party. But I speak to you today that Nigerians should not despair. Nigerians should not lose hope. The PDP is going to emerge stronger from this crisis. And then we are going to put our hearts together. Yes, 2 years might look short, but in politics, even 24 hours is a long time and enough time. We are going to put our hearts together, and then we are going to do the needful and make sure that we provide a viable opposition and a viable alternative to see to the Nigeria of our dreams. And this is my appeal to Nigerians. We should not be despaired. We should not lose hope. The PDP will be back from its troubles, and we'll be back stronger to confront the maladministration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's APC and give Nigerians the Nigeria of their dream. This is what I have to say as regards that.
All right. I mean, your former presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, has alleged that some party leaders have been offered 50 million naira to distract political parties and opposition in the country. Do you feel that is a situation owing to the ongoing crisis within political parties?
Like, if you look at the way some party leaders behave in this party, I bet you will have no choice than to believe the insinuations of the former vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. A situation where leaders clearly disobey the laws, the court judgments, appeal court judgments, to send a message. A situation whereby you see PDP leaders openly singing praises of APC, even when we know that the APC have not done anything right since they came into power in 2015. You see them openly singing the praises of APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, there is insinuations like this. You will have no choice than to believe them. Because I do not see why, as a PDP man that is fully loyal to the party, should be campaigning for APC ahead of 2025. That should tell you something. Do I even need Atiku Abubakar to tell me that members have been paid? I don't even need a soothsayer to tell me that. I think it is common sense. You see that, look, there is a motivation behind these praises and all these actions. So if Alhaji Atiku Abubakar says members of the party have been paid such an amount of money, I will have no choice than to believe.
But they are not kids, David Otopa.
They are not kids. Of course, they are not kids in the political arena. But that does not mean that you should sell away your conscience.
All right. All right, David Otopa, thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight. We do hope that all of this crisis will resolve for a stronger opposition, not really for the sake of your party, but that you need a viable opposition to engage the day-to-day activities of the government of the day. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on Big Talk.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me. God bless you.
That's a move by both Governors Forum and the Board of Trustees, the BOT. They've also scheduled March 13, 2025 for the NEC meeting. The NEC meeting is to serve as a platform for critical deliberations that will shape not just the future of the party, but also the political trajectory here in Nigeria. That's what the Board of Trustees have stated. Just at the meeting, they had confirmed that Odoke should be sworn into office as a national secretary of the party amidst the ongoing crisis. Everyone, before we'll be wrapping up on the show, we'll now be turning attention to the National Assembly as the House of Reps, a committee on constitutional review, has proposed the creation of 31 new states in the country. If this proposal scales through, the Nigerian state will be made up of 67 subnational governments, as the country's current states stand at 36, including the Federal Capital Territory. And the proposal for new state was contained in a letter read during today's plenary, presided over by the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, who presided over the session in the absence of Speaker Abbas. We'll be going on a break, and once we return, I will let you know, do we need more states in Nigeria, or do we need good and better governance to resolving all of the crises we and the problems we have in the country? We'll be stating out to you the states that are involved, from the northwest to the north central to the south to the southeast. There are comprehensive 31 states drawn out from all of these states just to form more states in Nigeria. We'll be bringing that to you just after this break. Please stay with us. Policies and political actors are in the news every day, all day. And on our part, we guide you through the noise and get you to the heart of the matter. Big Talk is your home of all-angle analysis of the top political stories. Airing weekdays on Global TV, 7 p.m. Big Talk, engaging and insightful. policies and political actors are in the news every day, all day. And on our part, we guide you through the noise and get you to the heart of the matter. Big Talk is your home of all-angle analysis of the top political stories. Airing weekdays on Global TV, 7 p.m. Big Talk, engaging and insightful. Just before we bring you the list that has been proposed from the House of Reps, 31 more states needed for Nigeria to increase their states. Many have really raised questions about if Nigeria really need more states, or we need better leadership, good leaders from the states and the local government, even at the federal government, in enhancing dividends of democracy. But for this new state to materialize, the House may need at least a third majority of the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives at the National Assembly, and the House of Assembly, and the House of Assembly as well in the state in the respective area, and the local government council in respect of the area it has received by the National Assembly. Let's take a look from the North Central. The state that about 7 states have been proposed from the North Central to form the new state. Benue Ala State is to be drawn from the present Benue State. Okun State is to be drawn from the present Kogi State. Okura State is to be drawn from the present Kogi State as well. Confluence State is to be drawn from the present Kogi State. Agba State is to be drawn from Benue State Senatorial District. Apa State is to be drawn from the Benue State, and 37 State, namely Federal Capital Territory. Wow, those are having a concern if FCT need more state to be drawn from that. But these are the 7 states that have been proposed to be drawn from the North Central as we now move to the Northeast. From the Northeast, we have Amana State, which is to be drawn from Adamawa State. We also have Katagum State, is to be drawn from Bauchi State. We also have Savannah State, which is to be drawn from the present Borno State. We also have Muri State, which is to be drawn from Taraba State. These are the 4 states that are to be drawn from the Northeast, or to be added to the Northeast as part of the move by the National Assembly. Let's get to look at what the Northwest has. Northwest, starting from New Kaduna State and Gurara State, is to be drawn from the present Kaduna State. Tiga State is to be drawn from the Kano State. Kanji State is to be drawn from the present Kebbi State. Gari State is to be drawn from the Kano State as well. These are just the 4 states that are proposed to be drawn from the Northwest part of this country. And on the Southeast, Etiti State, as the 6th state in the Southeast, has been drawn. Adada State is to be drawn from the Enugu State of Nigeria. Orashi State is to be drawn also from that geopolitical zone. Olu State is also to be drawn from the southern part of the country, and Aba State is to be drawn also from the present Abia State. These are also the states that have been mapped out and proposed by the House of Representatives. The committee responsible for the constitutional review are making this move. Now let's get to look at what the South State has. Okoja State is to be drawn from the Cross River State. Warri State is to be drawn from the present Delta State. Bori State is to be drawn from River State. And Obolo State is to be drawn from the rivers and part of Akwa Ibom. These are some few states that will be drawn from the South part of this country. And we'll look at the Southwest. From the Southwest, which we've numbered all of these states to be the 25th state that have been mapped out. Toru Ebe State from the present Delta, Edo, and Ondo State. It looks like there are a lot of boundary sharing from that region, Delta, Edo, and Ondo, and they're trying to make a new state out of these 3 states. Ibadan State is to be created from the present Oyo State to stand alone. Lagoon State is to be from the present Lagos State. Ijebu State is to be mapped out from the present Ogun State. We also have Lagun State from the present Lagos State and Ogun State. Both states also have where the state will be created out of both Ogun and Lagos State. And we also have Ife Ijesha State from the present Oyo State, and last but not the least, Oke Ogun from the present Ogun, Oyo, and Osun State. This is a very, a lot of move by the National Assembly, and it looks that the request can only materialize if third majority of the Senate and the House of Representatives are backing this move. And now you go to the state to involve members of the House of Assembly of the state. It will not end there. There's also a need to also engage the local government council in respect to this move. So if this has to move, it means that all of this state, all of those governments, both at the state House of Assembly and back to the local government, will be involved to know what this means. But the big question is Nigeria in need of more state, or is Nigeria in need of good leaders? This is what we may ponder on even as we make this move from the National Assembly, and of course, we'll be engaging the public as they can also make that consideration in Nigeria. Everyone, that's the size of our show tonight. We'll continue to track more development as to what leaders are doing from the local government as well, the state and the federal government, bringing you to speed all of those developments. And of course, do not forget, the crisis in the parties are still a major concern for everyone. You get to Labour Party, they have their own fair share of crisis. NNPP has their fair share of crisis. And the PDP are also making it, it's a very big, tough move for the PDP to resolve the issue. Almost 2 years of post-election, aftermath of election, there are still crises that are still rocking the party. And the Board of Trustees also making move in resolving this. But can all the political parties resolve the issues and engage the government of the day in respect to their policies, their reformations, and the government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? That is still what Nigerians are asking the political parties in Nigeria. This is where we'll close the curtain and, of course, wrap it up here on the show. Big Talk. My name is Edika Mike, and thanks so much for joining us on the show. See you again.